What's going on, everybody? This is Justin Smith of Palmetto Coast Exotics, and this is the ChondroCast, the podcast about green tree pythons and the people that keep them. Enjoy the show.
With Cody on there, it went off.
I kept trying to figure out how to jump in there and be like, all right, cool, let's wrap this up, and every time.
It's like talking to Harlan.
Yeah, it is. Ian made the joke that if you had Cody and Harlan in the same room and you had them talking, it would create a ripple in the space-time continuum.
Show.
Yeah, it would never end.
Yeah, I remember I talked to Harlan on the phone a couple times, and we're on there forever.
Yeah, I don't mind it though.
Yeah, I don't.
Doesn't bother me none. I'll talk to him all day. He's always got funny stuff to say and stories and all that good stuff. So.
Oh yeah.
But we are started now, so welcome everybody. This is episode 9 of the ChondroCast. I'm Justin Smith of Palmetto Coast Exotics, and tonight I'm joined by Mr. James Gabriel of Beantown Arboreals. What's up, man?
What's going on?
How goes it?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Tired. Been busy. Busy with podcasts. Busy with babies. There's always something going on, man.
How the babies doing?
Good. I got a handful that are going into their first shed now. They're darkening up a bit. I've offered food once or twice now, with no luck. A bunch of strikes, but no wraps. So
no takers.
No. So I'm gonna try. I think Sunday is when I'm gonna hit them again because I'm off that night.
Are you gonna wait till they shed, or?
Yeah. See, I have some that are clearly going into a shed cycle, and then I have some that look like they're kind of lagging behind the others. So I don't know. We'll see. If I have some that have shed by Sunday, which I'm not really banking on, I guess, then I'll offer them food then. But we'll see. Though everyone seems so torn about that whole thing of feeding before or after sheds. I guess I'm going to be trying both because I've had no luck so far. I don't know what you've done. Or what's worked for you?
Yeah, I've heard both, especially where they feed before shed and then they end up being horrible feeders after they shed.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Because I've had a handful of people that were like, "Oh yeah, get food in them as soon as you can. The sooner the better." And I wish I had fed before they shed because I've had some horrible eaters now since I waited, and everyone's experience is different, and that's kind of the most frustrating thing when you're navigating this all for the first time is, everyone does it differently, even if it's only in a minor way.
Yeah, everything's with these snakes is all over the board.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I know with my weight though.
The clutch I had in 2016. I waited till they all shed.
Mm-hmm.
I probably got half to eat.
Yeah,
no problem. Out of 14 babies, and then the rest, chick down.
Oh,
chick
really?
Down worked for every single one except one.
Huh.
I had one that would not feed. It just no matter what. And a buddy of mine, I was like, he wanted one from the clutch, and I was like, listen, I can't get this one to eat. If you want it, I'll ship it to you. If you get it to eat, it's yours. No kidding. I ship it to him. Within a week, he tries to feed it, eats, no problem. No problem.
Well,
I remember Buddy talking about it before.
I was going to say, Stiegel's done that where he couldn't get it.
I don't know if it's an elevation thing or what.
I don't know. It's strange that would do it.
Yeah. The next time, like this season, I bred in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 females ovulate. One died after ovulation, and one died after pre-lay shed, and I haven't even tried since then. I was like, oh man, this is horrible. But this coming season, I'm gonna do some breedings, and if I have some that don't eat, I might just ship them to myself. See what happens.
Just send them to a hub and send them back.
Yeah. Just hit FedEx real quick. Be like, hey, listen, send this thing to Memphis and back.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come pick it up in the morning and see what happens.
I've heard of some people, and not necessarily with chondros, but with other snakes, where they literally, kind of like you would a normal like human baby, if they won't sleep, taking them for a car ride, like literally just going and driving around for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
I've never tried it, but I'm sure it's not too far off from taking a flight.
Yeah.
But what's your current collection look like? Like, how many animals do you have? What do you?
Right now, I think I have. I think I have 11.
Okay.
11 green trees, and then I have two emeralds,
Mm-hmm.
and I just got a baby basin.
And the other two emeralds are northerns?
Yeah.
Okay.
One anaconda phase and one patternless. It's supposed to be a pair.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't checked for myself, but we'll see.
Okay, cool.
If hopefully I end up with two girls or a pair. If it's two boys, I'll be sad. 'Cause I don't want to get any more.
Yeah. Do you like having a smaller collection like that as far as chondros go?
Yeah, I think small is better. When I first got into it, I had just one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was like 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
I got my first one in 2012. I got my second one, and I didn't know really nothing about, like, I wasn't in any of the groups or the community or
Mm-hmm.
none of that. I was just like, man, these things are pretty cool. And then the second one I bought, I ended up lucking out. It ended up being a John Mackline male that came from Rico.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, let me look up this Rico guy. And that's when I started, looking into everything and realizing there was all these crazy designer lines. And then I got obsessed with lineage and all that jazz. And at one point, I think I had like 30 of these things. And it was crazy. You got to, really research who you're buying from, because I've had them show up and them just like be spewing phlegm when you open the box, and you're like, oh wow, all that money I just spent, you're gonna go right in the freezer, because there's no coming back from that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I had someone message me today on my business page, and they were asking me some questions about green trees, and they were like, how much do they usually cost, roundabout this, that, and the other. And I told them, I said, if you want to make your life much easier, hunt down one that's captive bred and buy that. I said, you're going to see cheap ones. You're going to see them imported. I said, but after the cost of vet and, vet work and everything else, you're going to end up spending the same amount anyways, so you might as well just save yourself the nightmare and buy captive bred.
Yeah. You gotta. I mean, there's nothing wrong with... Yeah, a captive bred, but I mean, if you want to get something that was imported, you definitely got to go through Ryan or Highland. I mean, I feel like those are the only two people you're going to get something on the lower end with money, but you're still going to get, a good quality animal for sure.
I haven't bought from Dan Maliri, but I've heard really good things about him too. I don't know if you've had.
Yeah, I've heard good stuff. I've never done business with him, but I heard he's a good dude.
Cool. So what was your first green tree that you got? Was it a locality?
Well, my
or was
first
it like
one
a designer?
was what everyone buys. I had a yellow Biak. I got it. Well, I used to do shows for Triple L Reptile.
Okay.
A buddy of mine, when he was stationed in California, when he was in the Marines, and he met the guy Lauren when he first started doing it. And then when I met him, I didn't even have reptiles at the point. My father had a snake phobia.
Oh.
So I didn't even get to have any reptiles till I moved out. First thing I did, 18, got my own apartment. First thing I did was bought a snake. And over the years, with my father, being around him and stuff, now he has a 10-foot albino berm. Scared of goddess snakes, but now has a 10-foot berm.
kind of funny how that works.
But,
yeah, because
Yep.
I find that most kids, if their parents aren't into it, they by default sort of get interested in it just because it's something they're sort of exposed to on a regular basis.
Yep.
Like, that was never an issue I had because my dad's been into snakes my entire life, and so we've always had some, because we moved a lot. My dad was Navy, so we moved around the country a good bit. And the only place we didn't have snakes was in Hawaii, but we still had, you could still buy, like, Jackson's chameleons there because they're introduced. And we were on Oahu, and we were near Honolulu, and I guess up in the mountains there, they're not too difficult to come across. And so people would sell them on like the side. Yeah, people would sell Jackson's chameleons on like the side of the road. And so we had a pair of those for a little while, and then we ended up moving to, where was it? It would have been Virginia. And then that's when me and him we started breeding corns together, just as like a father-son hobby. And he took a break from it for a while after we moved from Virginia, and now he's like full bore into gray band king snakes and stuff like that. And I've got my gang, and it's pretty cool that he got the itch back and he's back in it.
Man, I wish my dad was into it when I was younger. That would have been cool.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't have much of an appreciation for it until I got older. Like, I realized how fortunate I am for that, because there's so many people that were like, man, I would kill to have my parents and, to be into that kind of thing. Yeah, and he's not super active in the community or anything like that. He's not in groups or anything. He has his big group of king snakes, and that's what he kind of sticks to, and he does his thing. So the bulk of your collection right now, is it you? I mean, I know you as being a big designer guy. Like, I remember years ago going on Fauna. Maybe not that long ago, but it has been a while. I remember going on Fauna before I got into chondros and seeing your stuff for sale, seeing it on Facebook. And you were like one of the first people, chondro-wise, I was probably following before I got into them. And I know it's always been kind of heavy on the designer end of things, but do you have kind of a mix of everything?
Yeah, it's mostly on the designer stuff. I had a couple locality females. I had a big Aru.
Uh-huh.
I had a Wamina female that came from Rico. She's the one that actually produced the clutch for me.
Nice.
I think I had a couple Jayas, but for the most part, it was either designer stuff or locality crosses that express like some cool phenotypes.
So what's been sort of the focus as far as your breeding stuff with that goes? Is there something in particular with the designers you're drawn to?
Now I've narrowed it down to like a specific what I want.
Yeah.
And I wish, years ago I narrowed it down like that before, but so mostly right now it's let's see, it'd be mostly some like blue line and some melanistic stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, my all-time favorite animal is that signal herp animal, the 05188. If I could just create some of that, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
The mix of the blue and the black on that animal was perfect.
Luke is getting, I don't know if you're friends with Luke on Facebook or not, but
I follow him.
He's getting a male from John Irby that is out of this world.
I saw that. I saw him post a picture of it. I was like, man,
that bastard.
It was funny because I was pestering John. It was like a week or so ago. I was like, what's up with some Soul Train striptease males? Because I'm only going to add one more male to my collection, and I want it to be that. And he's like, well, I only got a couple holdbacks, and they're mine. and then I'm seeing I seen Greg post his, and I was like, oh man. I was joking on his on his comment. I was like, "So can I have that?" And he was like, "Nah." Come on, man.
Just put it in the box and send it to me. I won't tell anybody.
Yeah. I'll just send you the money, man. I'll even send you pictures, and you can keep posting them like it's still at your house and stuff.
No one has to know.
But, yep, that pairing was awesome. Those that John Mack stuff. Not a lot of people have it, obviously, and It really throws the heat when you pair it right.
Yeah, and Luke has that female El Jefe, I believe.
Oh, the yeah. That was from
he thought it was going to be a male, but it turned out to be a female, and so then he got this male from John, and I think that's his
that was
plan.
the El Jefe one from John, or was that from the? He has another one, I think.
He has another one that's I don't know who produced it, but it's also
I think
ridiculous.
it was a James Opdahl Christian Stewart animal. I'm probably wrong, but I think he might have one of those.
Yeah.
Sirac, Lagertha, or something like that.
I don't know, but I'll get at some point. I look at those and I'm like, dude, that is so out of my tax bracket. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you know who's got a real nice one? John produced is Rod Love, the Midnight Train. Have you seen that animal?
I'm sure I have. It's
his Instagram's Arboreals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that Midnight Train animals. Woo.
Yeah, that thing is insane.
Yeah, that thing is incredible.
And is that sort of the kind of stuff that's what you're working towards? Is just the black and blue and?
Yeah. I mean, what I have now can really hit it out the park.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Blue Deuce, Little Stevie male, and I have a Jake Watermelon female.
Ooh.
And if that pairing doesn't produce something just out of this world, then I don't even know what two snakes you could put together to create something crazy.
Well, now that Stiegel hatched out that clutch, I'm so curious to see what comes of those. And then,
the sickness repeat one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he has one
that one with that blue Cyclops.
Oh, the sickness to that blue Cyclops.
Yeah.
Man, I seen that thing in person too. So the kid's local to me. This kid that used to own that blue Cyclops.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a local show, and I had a bunch of the green tree babies I produced at a booth just to show people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't selling any at the time. They were probably like 3 months old or something. And he's like, "Hey, I got this blue Cyclops female. You'd be interested in buying her?" And I was like, "Oh, maybe." And we talked the price, and I was like, "Holy macaroni! I don't know." And yeah, and then he posted it for sale, and Bill got it. But I'm glad Bill got it because it went to a good place to produce some awesome stuff.
What else was it? There was that pairing, and then there was another one that for some reason I was just thinking of it, but I'm drawing blanks on it now. Oh,
which one? The Bill did?
No. Pedro, the babies that he just hatched out.
Oh yeah, those are gonna be cool. The ones from the Aru female bred to his mosaic male.
Yeah.
The ones he just posted.
Yeah.
Man, those things are killer. There's no pattern on like any of them.
So dark. Yeah. There's nothing on them. It's insane.
Yeah, I'm interested to see those things. I tried to contact a few people. I really want to get something imported from Pedro.
Mm-hmm. I know Forrest Fanning did recently a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I talked to him about it, and he was like, "Oh, I just did it myself." And then it kind of ended at that, and I was like, "Oh, I contacted a couple companies, and I was like, hey, listen, can you guys help me out with importing something from Portugal?" And they were like, "Hell no!" I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, on bars, well, you know what I mean." And then they were like, "Well, if you can get it to the ham show, I can get it over." And I was like, "It's making that a crazy process." I just kind of gave up on it. But hopefully, Reptile Express will be able to get a connection in that area.
Tell Mike to stop screwing around and make something happen.
I know, man.
Uses his little hobbit powers and make the magic.
Yeah, I'd really want one of those mosaic kids, especially from the repeat pairing.
Yeah, that's got to be so nerve-wracking though when you have an animal that expensive and it's coming from that far away. Because that's
I could only imagine.
What, 2 or 3 day shipping? That's not overnight.
Yeah, it would be a little scary, but I mean, look, Christians ship stuff to the UK all the time.
Yeah.
And all this stuff is alive and thriving. So, I mean, as long as you pack it right,
yeah,
it should be okay. And obviously, as long as it's a healthy animal, it should do okay.
I just think of like worst case scenario, like Castaway,
Oh yeah,
the
that'd be
FedEx guy
horrible.
ends up using your chondro as something to survive on and eat on an island.
Yeah.
You know, not
Imagine that. You
realizing,
wait 3 days for shipping, then all of a sudden they're like, "We lost your box."
we lost a lot of boxes.
Yeah. It'd be
Tom
horrible.
Hanks is missing somewhere eating your green tree.
Yeah. I've had that happen. Not to me, but I dropped off 2 boxes, right?
Uh huh.
It was some like leopard gecko babies in one box and an emerald in another. I dropped them off at FedEx. They put the labels on the wrong boxes.
Ooh.
So the people expecting a some leopard gecko babies had a big emerald tree boa, and then the emerald tree boa person was like, "What are these?" But thankfully, it worked out where they were cool with it, and they I had to repay the shipping, no big deal, and then they brought them to the hubs, and then they resent them the right way. But
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe it.
What's your experience with emeralds been? I've never kept them. I've only had Amazons, but it's
I've had a
I'd
couple
like to
over
get
the
into them
years.
eventually.
Yeah, I've had a couple over the years. My first one was a horror show. It took me 8 months to get it to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then but it did great after. I have a female that actually I sent over to Forrest
Mm-hmm.
to do something with because he grew his emerald collection pretty big. So
Yeah,
we'll
he's
see
got
how
some
that pans out.
stunners.
And then but the ones I have now that they've been fairly easy as long as you don't. I feel like as long as you don't buy like a wild caught adult,
Mm-hmm.
they're pretty easy.
I mean,
Actually, in
how
my
would you
experience, they're
compare
more
them
hardier
to?
than chondros.
That's what I was gonna say. Is how would you compare them to green trees overall? Because I know
Uh,
their care
More hardier
isn't
for sure.
too different, right?
Yeah,
As far as
yeah,
temps and
yeah. I
stuff.
mean, I keep them pretty much the same, a little cooler, but um, I think they're more. I feel like they're more hardier.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience, when I've got some jacked up animals
Yeah.
before from people, and that they just didn't pan out how I thought it would.
And when are you
But
gonna be
yeah,
able to? When are you thinking about pairing the two you have?
I got some years ahead.
Oh, okay. They're still
Uh,
small.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. That they should be a lot bigger. I sent them to a buddy,
Uh-huh.
and I got them back, and they were like the same size a year or so later, and just
Like, what
changed
the
color.
hell? Yeah.
So I was a little pissed off about it, but I just kept it to myself. But now they're good, man. They're hydrating, full shedding,
Mm-hmm.
eating frozen thod, defecating. So you can't power feed them obviously because
Yeah.
it just cause problems. But
Yeah.
they're on the right track. So we're probably 4 years out, but it'll be worth
When
it.
you got when you got nothing but time, why not?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go
Especially
out.
with those, like you cannot power feed them.
Yeah.
You just can't.
It kind of forces you
So
to slow down and
yeah,
play the long game.
if you don't have the patience for them, don't get them.
Mm-hmm. I definitely want to eventually. I don't know when, but they're on the list and they're pretty close to the top. But I'm gonna need more room.
Yeah, that's why I'm pretty much, I got everything set up how I wanted to. I had I got reset my cages, got bigger cages, which ended up being kind of a horror show. But
Mm-hmm.
I ordered custom cages, and they legit sat in my house for 5 to 6 weeks, something like that. I didn't even open them because I was waiting on heat panels from Pro Products,
Oh yeah.
which takes forever, but it's worth it. They're awesome panels.
I
But
haven't used those ones. I've only used the reptile
I
basics.
used the Reptile Basics for 5-6 years, never had an issue. But
Mm-hmm.
with the cages I went with, the 40-watt Pro Products, I think it is
Yeah.
too small, and then their next step up is enormous.
Mm-hmm.
So I contacted Pro Products and went with them.
Gotcha.
Well
That
worth
makes
it.
sense.
A little
Yeah.
bit more money, but definitely excuse me, worth definitely worth it.
And
So
what-
anyways, back to that. The heat panels finally come. I open the cages, the boxes, and they're the wrong size.
Oh.
Yeah, because I ordered 3 feet by 18 deep by 2 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Because I hate the 2 foot depth. You just don't need it,
Yeah.
and when you have it, it's a pain in the ass to reach all the way back there,
Mm-hmm.
clean the cage, especially on the bottom, and but they ended up not being 2 feet tall. They were 18 inches tall. And I was like, oh no. And I would have had to call the company
Yeah.
and then
Especially
send
after
them
waiting
back
that
and
long.
then wait another
Yeah.
2 months. So,
Damn.
but they worked out. I mean, they actually heat better. You
Mhm.
don't have to worry about the bottom of the cage being freezing. They're long enough where the snake can regulate itself,
Yeah.
and so it ended up working out.
And you prefer using those longer cages over like the cubes?
For the females, yeah, I like the 3 foot cages a lot better.
Yeah. Because I've got my
And then
girl.
the males,
I've got my girl in like a 4 foot, I think, and it's.
man,
I mean,
I'd
it's
love to
long.
go 4 feet. I just
Yeah.
don't. If I had the room, my females would be in 4 footers, my males would be in 3 footers.
You know, I've come to
You
prefer it. Like I know there's a lot of people that use the cubes, but I've come to realize that the cubes they get like no gradient.
Yeah, no gradient.
I hate it.
I just don't like the cubes
Yeah.
at all.
And so with this longer one, it's got me really thinking, whatever I end up buying next as far as caging goes is going to be it's going to be longer. It's going to be, it forces them to move. I notice with my girl, if she wants to get away from the heat, she's really got to go somewhere to do it. She can't just sit there and not escape it.
Yeah, mine barely go under the heat, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But I sent them out my heat panels. I stole that from Buddy, and who I think got it from Terry Phillips.
Like they're centered in the cage.
Sent them out the heat panels. Yep, you get way better efficiency. And I actually, since I've been doing that, I keep my cages the panels a little cooler too.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense because
So
it's kind of dispersing that heat a little more evenly.
Yeah, my hot spot's about 83, 84.
Mm-hmm.
And then to the coolest spots is 77, 78.
Gotcha.
So that's been working out. And they seem to move a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the send them out.
In the mail today, I actually had one of those modular tub frames from Brahms that I'm gonna try out on one of these 100-quart tubs. With my male's gonna go in it.
He's making bigger ones now, or the one that's been out.
Well, no, he has the ones right now that are for Cambro and like Pro Choice brand tubs or something like that, which is basically a Cambro knockoff.
Okay.
And so then I had him on the show a couple weeks ago. And
yeah, I listened to that. That was good.
He was talking about doing ones where basically you send him the dimensions of the tub, and then he sends you those frame pieces in like 23-inch, I believe it's 20-inch, might be 24-inch sections with the joints, and if it's a longer tub and it needs a joint in the middle of that, basically, like I said, modular, so you can sort of make it fit whatever tub you want to use it for, and then you get the glass made. So he sent me one of these to try out with, I'm going to use it on one of these hefty 100 quarts, and that's what I'm going to end up putting my male in. And I have a heat panel that I bought a couple weeks ago. I don't remember what for, but I want to make sure I'm doing it in this longer tub because for the same reason I don't like the cubes, I want him to have more of a gradient and to be able to get away from it. Because right now what he's in, if I just put the heat panel on that, it would be just like the cubes and he'd have nowhere to go.
Yeah, if you send them out the cubes, you'll get a little bit better gradient.
Mm-hmm.
Not really side to side, but up and down.
Yeah.
With a cube, I know a lot of people use the cubes and mount that heat panel in like one of either the left or right, like far back corner, and I don't see how that. I mean, I've done it, and it just didn't work out so good.
Yeah, I have one, and it's a sharp one, and I mean it's a nice cage. I don't mind it. I got it before I got. It was when I only had my two adults, and it had my male in it because my other the one that my female's in, the 4-footer, came from Jake. because he upgraded all of his stuff to some of the VE PVCs, and so he sold me this one. I put the female in it, and then the male got his own cube. But after using that now for the last 2 years, year and a half, yeah, I'm not a fan of the cubes. They're nice for space if you have a lot of animals, I guess, but
Yeah.
I really like the longer setups a lot more.
Yeah, I'm digging the longer stuff more. I mean, although my males, I keep them in 2-foot long cages. None of them are monster animals anyway.
Yeah. And are you, as far as your perches go, you keep those pretty thin?
Yeah. I think the biggest perch in the cage is a 1/2 inch.
That's what I've been using pretty much for anything now. It doesn't matter how big it is. If it's my really big Biot girl, she's got 1/2 inch.
Yeah, they love the smaller stuff. I when I put all these cages together, I put in a giant order from David. And I put all like the branch extensions on, and you know, it's funny, they rather just sit on that.
Yeah, I've got a few of those that he sent me that I haven't used yet. When I get this male set up, he's gonna get a few of them. But man, he's got a dragonfly in the tub he's in now, and he sits on that thing all the time too. But I'm gonna give him some of these extensions when I get this other setup built.
Yeah, I love the extensions. I never used them before, and man, they really do like them.
He's doing such cool stuff, man. I love the fact that I can, you know, if I have an idea that I think he can work, you know, I'd send it to him and say like, hey, if you ever, you know, need something new to try out, you know, I was thinking about, you know, I need this. Like I was telling him just a couple when these babies were hatching, I was like, man, you need to find a way to make like a really tiny hook that's like the size of a pin. I was like, because getting these babies off the perches with anything is kind of a pain. If I just had like literally like a pen-sized hook that I wouldn't use really for anything else, but just something to be able to maneuver these things off these perches and into tubs would be like, I'd pay for that.
Yeah, you got to get one of those little collapsible ones they sell at what's it called, Petco or PetSmart.
Yeah, but even those are like bigger than what I'm thinking. Like, imagine that thing completely folded up, but thinner.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
And I was like, that'd be like perfect, just for getting babies out and stuff. You know, I'd probably use it for other stuff, I'm sure, like some of my smaller stuff if I needed to. Or even, you know, in my dart frog tank, digging around in there for anything if I needed to. It'd be good for that, you know. But I have come to realize the power of the cuticle scissors, because I've been using those for way more stuff than eggs. Those little cuticle scissors are
I use them for
lifesavers.
I got like 3 or 4 of them lying around the house. Yeah, I asked David about doing something a while back, but it didn't pan out. I don't think it would have worked too good. But I was like, I wanted to do a track system. You know, when you mount your perch holders on cages, it's only in one spot. Yeah. Well, at one point I was using manzanita wood. It just makes the cage look so much better.
Yeah, it does.
And but it's a pain, and it's a real pain when you have those perch mounts, and you're not getting those pieces of wood straight. So you have to make all these weird cuts and angles, and to make them fit, it takes forever. Yeah. But if you could have like a mount a track system, like a 12-inch track on each side of the cage, parallel from each other, and then you could be able to take those perch mounts and slide it in. So you could have like, you know, put it at different angles. Yep. It would have made my life easier. But now I switched over back to the, you know, PVC perch. Yeah, and I really would like to use natural wood, but it looks so good. Yeah, for that same issue of, you know, getting it, you can't get it to sit flush or, you know, exactly how you want it. Yep. I just don't like looking into a bear cage. Yeah. Yeah, you got these thousands of dollar animals in there. It's just sitting on a piece of PVC. And that's why I was like, man, I did some, you know, put that wood in there, put a couple fake plants in there. It just makes it look more appeasing, you know?
Do you add stuff other than the PVC? Do you add like fake plants and whatnot?
Yeah, I have fake plants in the cages, and I recently switched over to using a Reptor chip
Oh.
as bedding,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually like it a lot.
What were
I
you
used
using
to
before?
puppy pee pads.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that are super easy to clean up. You know,
And they're cheap.
they, yep, cheap. But the Reptor chip's really working out, and in Mass, it gets so dry in the winter,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to mist when they're in the shed cycle. They could drink every day out the bowl, and I would still get like a crappy
Still be
shed
bad
every once
sheds.
in a while. You know,
Yeah. What do you
all
use?
these animals drink out their bowls every night. I switch my
Mhm.
water every other day, freezing cold water, and so they're always drinking, but it just gets so dry.
I'm a firm believer in the power of the oversized water bowl.
Yeah, I used to keep monster bowls in there, but with the elevated water bowl things now,
Mm-hmm.
it just makes it way easier for the snakes to be lazy, I guess, and they just come and drink it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in South Carolina, so obviously humidity is rarely a problem for us, but I don't know. I mean, I don't mist my green trees really at all. The neonates are one thing, but everything else, unless it's in a shed cycle, I don't touch it.
Yeah, same shed cycles, but I also won't spray the snake itself either. I'll just hit the Reptor chip,
Mm-hmm.
and by the morning it's already dried up, and I mean probably dries in a couple hours because I don't even heavy blast it enough to just bump it up a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit goes a long way. So as far as breeding goes, do you prefer do you cycle your animals? Do you do it through temperature? Do you do it through food? What's your usual process with pairing and that
Well,
whole?
when I've paired them in the past,
Uh-huh.
I always have a night drop year round.
And when's that usually?
So the a great feature with the Herpstat fours,
Uh-huh.
I think they're on the Herpstat twos and stuff too, but a lot of people don't use it. There's a ramping feature.
Mm-hmm.
So you go into this ramping feature. Well, first you got to turn your night drop on and set your temps, and then you go into the ramping feature, and it gives you time increments.
Right.
So you can use 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and up to like 6 hours, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I use a 4 hour ramp. Why I picked 4 hours, I don't know. I just did. And so I'll set my night drop at 9 o'clock, and it ends at 5. So
Mm-hmm.
that ramping feature, what it does is from 9 to 5, or 9. Oh no, it goes back up at 5. So from 9 to 4 hours would be 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So from 9 to 1, it slowly progresses the temperature down in increments of like 0.2 degrees or something.
Okay. So really
All the
gradual.
way
Yeah.
And then my night drop, I set it at 79, so that's where the hot spot will be. And then at 5 in the morning, it ramps back up. So by 9 a.m., it's back to its 84 degrees.
Okay. And that's the hot spot you offer your adults?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, with that center-mounted heat panel,
Mm-hmm.
and how I have my probe set up, and excuse, and how the probe's set up, I'd be baking these guys if I put it up any higher.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you have Neos, do you do a drop for them at night at all?
Nope. Those I run at about 86
Okay.
in the hot spot of the Neo racks.
Mhm.
It's got back heat tape.
Yep. That's
And
how
then
mine is right now.
I'll use one tub as a false tub.
Yep.
I'll set the probe in on a perch, 2 inches off the back of the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and then that just runs full juice all the time.
Okay.
So until they get into like a cage, then they're not getting any night drops.
Mm-hmm. Because that's something I've been curious about. I'm sure. I mean, the night drop thing in general, I'm curious about. You know, if it actually triggers stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean,
all stages.
in the wild, it's never 85 degrees 24/7. You know, so
right.
They need. I would think they need some kind of night drop.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people night drop year round. Some people don't night drop at all unless they're trying to breed.
And so you only do it like a seasonal, like
I just do it year round.
Okay.
I night drop them year round. Before breeding, I guess I do feed a little heavier.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wait till about October, pop the window open at night, or anytime it rains, and just put them together.
And they make it happen.
I just don't have a scientific way of doing it, I guess, but it worked.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that I've learned with mine is there's really nothing too scientific about making it happen. You put them together and you wait.
Yeah, man, just put them together.
That's pretty much what I did. You know, I put mine together in June.
I remember John Irby saying, you know, the normal breeding season he tried with, I think it was the Soul Train Strip Tease clutch, or maybe the JO girl. But he just put, you know, once a month he put them together for like a week or something. If they didn't take them out. Next month, put them in. You know, some girls just don't start to build when we want them to in the fall. You know.
Well, that's the nice thing about it is, you know, that you're not going to know, but the male will. And so if you just have the male in there and he's just waiting around to do his job, you know, he'll know when she's primed and ready. Yeah. And he'll make it happen. But with my pair, I saw a ton of locks. You know, when I put him in there, immediately he went straight to the girl. And he didn't leave her alone for a really long time. And then, like, they kind of went through a period where I didn't really see him doing anything. They were on opposite ends of the cage all the time. And then it would rain, and of course he'd be all over her again. And so I saw locks like crazy. But I didn't actually get eggs until the ovulation was, I want to say, early December. I got eggs in mid-February. Yeah. But it was getting so frustrating because I'm like, man, like I'm walking in every night from work and these things are locked up and they're going, but I have no signs of anything going on. And so I just stuck with it, and I separated them to feed, and I'd give him a couple days off with that, and then I'd put him back in, and it, you know, finally she had her ovulation, which I actually didn't think was her ovulation. I thought it was just some follicle development because she wasn't that big. And then I had that episode with Brian Fisher, and I sent him pictures afterwards. He's like, yeah, dude, that was an ovulation, man. He's like, you got eggs coming. So I got ready. Yeah, I got prepped.
Yeah, some of them you don't have like a huge one, and then some of them you're like, oh my god, my snake's gonna die.
Yeah, well, that's what I was looking for. It was like that really dramatic, huge swelling, and I remember looking at her and being like, I mean, it kind of looks like one, but it doesn't really look like the ones I've seen. And of course, I go back and look at the pictures now, and I'm like, that was totally an ovulation. Like, what the fuck were you thinking?
The first time I saw it in person, like actually happened, I just watched her swell throughout like a day or two, and I was like, oh my god, she's gonna explode.
It's insane. I don't know that there's a species that it's as dramatic as it is with green trees.
Yeah, because they're so small.
Yeah.
You know, I've never seen nothing like that. I felt horrible. It looked like she legit swallowed like 4 baseballs.
And then I always saw pictures of eggs and stuff, but it wasn't until I actually saw them, because I was talking to like Will Banks about it. He's like, yeah, dude, they're like the size of a corn snake egg. And I was like, what? Like, no way. Because I'm used to, you know, Jake had his popwind carpet eggs, and those things are freaking huge, and the snake is like half the size of my green tree, but she's got these eggs that are twice the size of the green tree eggs. And I saw him and I was like, holy shit, he's right. Like, these things literally are like the exact same size as a corn snake egg, or not far from it. And then the babies come out, and the babies are the size of a baby corn snake. And I'm like, my god, because I have my female
like the size of a pencil. They're so small.
My female biak is big, and so I look at those babies and I'm like, there's no way these turn into that.
I remember weighing them all when they hatched, right? And I was like, because I kept records of everything,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them was like almost 14 grams,
Whoa.
and I was like, I remember posting a picture, and some people were like, "Damn, that's a huge one." And I'm like, "Really? This thing's tiny. What are you talking about?" Because
What?
yeah, the whole clutch ranged from like 10 to 12 grams.
Mm-hmm.
One or two were like around 13. One was around 14, and then I had like the runt, I guess, was like 9 something. It
Yeah,
was so small. I was like, how am I
Maxwell's
gonna
book.
feed these things?
Yeah, Maxwell's book was saying 10 to 12 was his kind of the norm. Um, all of mine, like my smallest one came out and this one died. This one came out of the egg and was really weak and lethargic, and I was pretty sure it was going to die, and it took it a day or two to actually kill over. But that one was 4.5 grams. My next
wow,
runt,
that's a small one.
yeah, my next runt, which was, that one's still alive. That was the first one that was out of the egg completely. That one's 6 grams. And then all the other ones, they all ran between, I think, like 8 and 9.5. So they were all kind of on the smaller end because I started asking around when I was weighing
That's
them.
interesting too, because a biak is, obviously a bigger bodied animal
Mm-hmm.
compared to like most locales, and look at, and especially designers, they're so small.
Yeah.
Can't believe how even the past couple of years how small people are keeping them.
Yeah, well, it's insane. I got, like my Bianca girl is really big. My male is pretty average. My other female, she's pretty small. But then I see pictures of some of these, like my buddy Billy Hunt has a pair of Laras, and those things are fully green, but they're tiny.
Yes.
And I'm like, what? Like, it's so strange seeing them that small and green. They're like little dwarf chondros.
Yeah. I bought an animal, and when I got it, it's like coming up on 2 years old, and I swear to God, it's like the size of one of the babies I had when it was like, 10 months to a year old. I can't. I was like, holy crap, this thing's small.
Even Luke's, some like El Jefe and stuff like that. Like those are like 2-year-old snakes, and they're pretty small compared to a lot of the ones you see.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are scared of prolapse,
Mm-hmm.
and they just, in my opinion, underfeed.
Have you dealt with that yourself?
I've never had a prolapse. And with the babies, I was feeding them every 5 days.
Uh-huh.
Those things constantly poop, and once you start feeding those things every 2-3 days, you're gonna be cleaning those bins. There's poop everywhere.
Yeah, there's already urates constantly with these ones that I have, and they haven't even eaten yet. There's freaking urates all over everything.
Like, I have a 5-year-old female right now,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, should be, in my opinion, way bigger. She's like 500-ish grams.
Right.
But I bought her as an adult. I had to have this blood. So when they were like, she's like 400 or 500 grams, I was like, that sucks. But I don't care, But this thing is hunting every night. I feed it once a week. Poops no problem. And every night this girl's looking for food. It's crazy.
And how big are you for as far as females go when they're ready to pair? Do you go by weight or do you kind of go by age or both?
I would go by age. I mean, you could have. I know back in the day when everyone was feeding rats, you could have a 3-year-old female that's 1,500 grams, and they'd produce no problem. But I think nowadays, everyone's keeping them really small, and I mean, I would go with, I'd say 5, or coming up on 5 when it's breeding season.
Yeah.
If around October she's like 4 years, 8 months, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, she has to be healthy, have good weight.
Not have any issues on a regular basis.
Like this girl, she'll probably be close to like 600-700 around this October, and I'll take a look, and if I feel like she's good, then I'll try. If not, I'll just wait till next year.
Okay. I feel like that's kind of the big thing right now is people, that patience and that waiting is the hardest part.
Yeah, yeah,
Like people just they want to breed and they want to breed now. Like they want to make it happen. You know.
yeah. Well, if you want to do that, I don't condone it, but just go buy yourself some giant ass adults and just see what you can do.
Well, it's like what me and Brahms were talking about. You know, when it takes you years to really get to that point to where you have babies that you did, but it's from animals. You know, you took the time to raise up and really put in a lot of time and sweat equity into and stuff. I think it makes it so much more rewarding than just buying them. And
Well, and those end up being the best breeders.
mm-hmm.
You know, you buy it as a baby, raise it up. It's fully acclimated to everything you do with your collection.
Right.
You know, and then, in my opinion, those are the best ones to breed.
And you
Instead of buying a girl, you know, and because I've done it.
Yeah.
You buy a girl, you do the quarantine thing, and then 8 months to a year later, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna breed her, and then just fucking they ovulate and die. You know.
Is it, do you agree with, because I know talking to Ian he recommends that if you get an adult female and you get her shipped to you, you wait a year before you pair her. Like as far as her settling in and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like an old female
uh-huh.
or, or an import or someone's collection, you have no idea who this person is.
No.
Then yeah, definitely, I would.
I don't know. I was thinking about it when me and him were talking about it, and a year just seemed kind of a little excessive. Like, it's not that out of the realm of possibilities when you're going to be quarantining for, a quarter of that.
Yeah. Well, you know what, too, that I've seen a little bit, but I've heard a lot of is, shipping older adults. They really, especially when they've been in this one person's collection the whole time, sometimes they just don't turn around for you.
Huh.
In like the acclimation process of
a
whole new setup and a whole new how this person kept it compared to how you keep it type of thing. Younger animals definitely do better from switching from one place to another. But I've also seen people buy an adult female and then 6 to 8 months later they have eggs and babies hatching. So I guess it goes both ways.
Yeah, I think some guys just get lucky.
That's true too. That's true.
Yeah. But as far as that female that you had that you lost during ovulation, do you know what happened with that?
All right, so I'll break it down. I bought this animal as a male.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like a year went by. I never seen no plugs from this animal shed.
Of course.
I'm like, damn. I wonder if this is a girl. Next shed cycle, butterflies. I was like, all right. Called my brother. I was like, hey, listen, can you come over? I got to probe this snake. So we probe it. It's a girl.
Mm-hmm.
So then that breeding season comes, I bred her. And this snake, by the way, was in, I forget his name, but it was he bought it as a baby. Mm-hmm. Not a baby, but like, a yearling or something like that. So he had it its whole life. It was a Oz Grace female. Oh, she was beautiful. But so anyways, I was like, oh wow, it's a female. So the breeding season comes, I breed her. This male I had was a stud. Mm-hmm. He would breed his perch. No kidding. I'd see him at night breeding his perch,
trying to
He'd
make
wake up
it
in the morning. There's dried up love juice everywhere. And he was a savage. So anyways, he bred her, and the whole process went, and she had a giant ovulation, and I guess it would be at the point of when she's releasing the ova to be fertilized. That next day, I'm like, oh, where is she? And I thought maybe she'd be like on the ground hiding or something. I'm looking in, and I'm like, oh my god, she's on the floor dead. I was like, you got to be shitting me. I was like, I don't understand how this happened.
It's such a shot in the nuts.
I cut her open. Right, so all the over inline
Mm-hmm.
in the duct. Towards the tail end, there was these two. It looked like black raisins. So I'm assuming this snake had some maybe false ovulation in the past,
Yeah.
and it was like two dried up old ova sitting in there. And I don't know if that's what caught like she couldn't like release
Yeah, she couldn't pass him or something.
them. You know that there was a blockage there. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess stress or whatever. I don't
Who
really know,
knows?
but from what I saw in there, I'm no vet, but I'm assuming that had something to do with it.
Yeah, that's one thing I've learned in my short time keeping these things. Is they are really good at kicking in the balls
Yeah,
on a regular
Yep.
basis.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Like-
that was a sad day.
Yeah,
she was so nice.
I have one baby from Luke that I had got. I'd originally gotten two from Luke. I had one that came in. It was doing flawless from like day one. Never had an issue. I had the other one, which is still alive. It had been nothing but an uphill battle for me. It was doing great with him. It was like the first one to feed. It was doing awesome with him. He shipped it to me, instantly stopped feeding. Like
Been there.
had a prolapse. Finally got it eating again. And now I moved it into the rack with the other ones because it's of size. And of course we've stopped eating again, but I'm not worried about that now. And so the one that was
because that has some good size on it now.
yeah. I've had it they're actually coming up on a year old next month in a few days. I think the 4th.
And that year-old, I saw your video on YouTube, is
Yeah.
like the size of this almost 2-year-old. So
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about, the one that had the prolapse. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one I still have. That one's still doing great. I haven't had a prolapse since. But the other one I lost because I was giving it really cold water. Came home and found it dead in the bottom of the water bowl.
ugh.
And that was the one that had like the complete stripe from the neck all the way down to the tail. It was eating like a champ. Didn't have to tease feed it, nothing. Ate perfectly every week. And I found it dead up in the water bowl. And that one really stung. And then I have a few Beox that I got that were clearly imports, and I waited too long to deworm them, thinking I had more time to get it done. Because I got them in, I was like, I'm going to give them a few weeks before I touch them with anything.
Yeah.
And I guess just slept on it too long. So I got a freezer full of chondros.
Yeah.
And then I still have
Man.
I lost a handful of babies with this clutch, and those are all in the freezer too. I want to make
Yeah,
I want to make wet specimens out of those at some point.
Yeah, I would. I would have loved to get some like those derma beetles and
Yeah.
have them eat up one of my animals and then make one of those cool skeletons on the perch. But at the same time, it takes too long, and I'd rather just buy one off someone.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm weird about that kind of stuff. Like, I keep mine in the freezer because if I ever notice anything else pop up that looks familiar from another one that I lost, then I have something to kind of compare it to, even though when you freeze them, you actually end up doing more harm than good, I guess, so maybe it's pointless.
Yeah.
But to have something else to kind of compare it to where if there's a necropsy and they're like, do you have anything else that was similar to this that died in a similar circumstance? I can have another, cadaver to send to them and be like, check this out, see what you think, if it's any good.
Yeah.
And then I just also don't like just throwing them away. I don't like letting them go to waste.
Yeah, like what do you do with it? You put it in the freezer and then throw it in the trash?
Yeah.
That's
I'd rather go to something and be,
Yeah.
Be a wet specimen, or if there's somebody else that wants them for, I don't know, maybe they got something that eats snakes and they have a king cobra or whatever.
Yeah.
And I know that animal was clean, then have at it. I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff they could go to than just going in the bottom of the trash can.
Yep.
But wasn't there? am I recalling right that there was a point in time where you almost got out of or where you were planning on getting out of green trees?
Yeah, I mean, I still kept a few hidden, but
because I remember it was like what
there was
2017.
at like one point I was like,
where you were like, I'm selling all the green trees, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I just it was close to that time I lost those two girls, and I was pretty pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've bought some stuff from some people, and those what instant freezer snakes, and I was like, I got to the point I was like, all right, who can you trust to buy
Yeah.
these animals from? And so I had a couple, and then I spent tons of money running through everything when that whole Nido scare, when
Mm-hmm.
it was finally brought to attention. I spent a lot of money to do that, and then of course everything that I had, which was probably like 15 plus snakes, everything came back clean, and then I just kept a few, and then a long time went by. I didn't even post in groups no more. I didn't want to read nothing.
Yeah.
I,
Off the
I
grid,
I was just over it
100%.
at one point.
Yeah.
I'd still follow some people on Instagram, check out their stuff. I'd still
Mm-hmm.
talk to a couple people, but
I tell Jake that all the time, man. I'm like, the more time I spend on Facebook, not necessarily Instagram. Like, I like Instagram. It's so much different. But the more time I spend on Facebook, the more I realize, like, the more I get why the older guys aren't on there.
yeah, I mean,
Like, it
you see
makes
a
so
post
much
and then you go
sense.
through the comments and you're like, are
Yeah, it's a
you just
complete free
kidding
for
me?
all, man.
I haven't been in a post talking to people for so long until that whole Calico thing came up,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't even hold back. I went in.
Was
Oh,
that post that Pedro made a couple days ago?
yeah,
I don't even think
it
I.
was a couple weeks ago, but I went in on it, and I was like, this is why I don't even like really like.
Let me look at it.
That's
I
why it
didn't even
wasn't on
really.
here for so long.
Yeah, I didn't look into that one
You
too
know?
much. I remember seeing it, but
Oh man, yeah, it's a long one. There's like hundreds of comments on there now. But I don't
let's
know.
see.
That Calico, it's a touchy subject
Well, what
with
was the
some
basis
people.
of what was the basis of the post about
Pretty
again?
much, it was a basis of like, what's the real Calico?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the real Calico is Greg Maxwell's line of animals that he proved out to have a phenotype to create this look,
Right.
and he coined it Calico. And anyone that has a high yellow animal or like some type of speckled, skittle looking animal, they're like, yo, I got this Calico. No, you don't. Unless it comes from that line, it's not even my opinion. This is why we have lineages
Mm-hmm.
for these animals. And for years I was addicted to them. It was like taking meth or something. I had to know everything. But it's real simple. You look back, and this is where the Calico line started. These are the snakes that made this line, and he put in the work to do it. He coined it that, so it's his. They got these snakes were made before like 80% of the people in the groups even knew what
Mm-hmm.
a chondro was.
Right. Right.
Computer chondro was from like hatched in 1999 or something,
Mm-hmm.
97, 99, something like that. And then Calico Junior was produced in
Well, it's kind of like
like
people like
2000s, early, something like that.
it's like people with Beox who have one that just happens to have a lot of yellow, and them saying it's high yellow.
Yeah, man.
Like it's not. Yeah, it might have a lot of yellow, but genetically, it's not a high yellow.
Right, right, right. That's like a lot of these. I don't know. With designers, it's if you don't follow or really are into the lineage, then
Mm-hmm.
you can be bamboozled. You know, you'll look up stuff and it'll be like, um, oh, what's high yellow calico times lemon tree, and you're like, oh shit, I need that.
They only
And then
want
you
three
look
hundred
into it.
dollars for it. It's totally
Yeah,
legit.
you look into it. No, the snake's thousands of dollars, but you look into it. It in the bloodline is lemon tree is like 3.2 125%. And
Mm-hmm.
when you look in, and then you break down the lineage, and it's like, oh, it's got like 12.5% high yellow, OS high yellow, and then there's 6.5 5% calico, so I guess it's good for the people that are new and don't really know nothing. They're like, oh, I
Yeah.
just bought this freaking lemon tree, and it's like, oh, it's really like a Biak outcross or a Maruki outcross. It's 50% Maruki, and really but I don't know.
Who did most of your designer stuff come from?
Um,
Or is it kind of just a
I've had
come
I've
from
had so
everybody,
much stuff
everywhere?
all over the board, but
Yeah.
specifically right now, um, if you're in the lineage and you're in the old school bloodlines that you can't get no more,
Mm-hmm.
but you want it as the parents, you got to go to the Sutherlands. Dan and Colette at the Snake Keeper.
Yeah.
They have some old blood that is breeding and producing.
Yeah,
So
they make some really nice looking stuff. They posted
yeah,
something the
man,
other day, one that had just shed, and that thing was out of this world.
the one that's like 90% black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have two of that one's siblings.
What? And how do those look?
I posted up pictures. You know that one that has like the like the yellowish orange and then that real dark orangey red.
Yeah.
That's a sibling. I'm waiting for it to change.
Hmm.
I mean, with that bloodline, if I'm lucky, those dark reds will turn black, but we'll see. And then the other sibling to it was the same way, but a lot less of the darker reds, and those turned black.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to have that blood because the father to those babies is siblings to Joe Black, Ella Diablo, Darth Sidious, all these big, very popular snakes. They're all from that blood. And but if you don't know, you don't know. So you just think like, oh, they made some cool stuff. But if you know lineages, I'm surprised they still have a couple of. They didn't. I'm the only one who has them. They only had about 5 or 6, and they're holding back the rest. I bought 2 of them. There's still a couple for sale.
Yeah, what do you, as far as your babies go, do you just hold on to yours indefinitely? Do you sell them early? Do you?
So the clutch I held them for a while. I only sold one before it started showing any change.
Yep.
But the other ones I sold had over 30 meals in them. Mid 20s to 30 meals. And then I kept a few, but then I ended up I didn't even end up keeping towards the end. I said F this, I was in that like stage of the chondros.
So over it.
Yeah, so I ended up selling all my babies. But I got a lead on one, and he's gonna sell it back to me.
Oh, good.
And it's a female, very small one, but
of course.
Yeah, she's like, so they hatched out April between the 27th and 29th of 2016. So they're gonna be 3 years old in a couple of days, and she's 250 grams.
Wow.
Yeah, people keep them small now. But I'm gonna get her back.
Yeah.
That basin set me back a little bit,
Yeah.
But it was a local, kind of localish guy, and he gave me a nasty deal. So, and I've wanted one forever, but I wasn't really into a $5,000 snake,
Yeah.
But I got it significantly less, so I had to do it.
You got to jump strike while the iron's
yeah,
hot, man.
Because if I didn't, someone else was gonna grab it, and then I'd be like, oh, I really want one, and he has a litter coming in July. And then I'd be like, oh, let me get one of these ones. And
I keep seeing them. I keep seeing.
I'm not gonna lie. When that litter comes in July, I'm gonna get a female from them.
Yeah,
it's already locked
in.
The
ones that like Ian keeps getting in and stuff like that. The more I see them, the more they keep getting closer and closer to the top of that list of
what, the basins?
And I mean any of them, the Northerns or the basins. Yeah. I mean, I doubt I'll get basins at any point soon.
Oh, that's so nice.
But I mean, the Northerns are cool too. I don't have an issue with them. They
Yeah, I
look
like
like
the
cool
Northerns.
snakes.
Does you know what's good about them too is a lot of people are breeding them. Not a lot, but
Mm-hmm. They're
you know
definitely getting to
Ryan
be easier to
Wallison is
find.
all at least getting a litter every year, and Bill
Yeah.
Hughes.
Yep.
He every year he has babies. They sell quick. That's one of those things. Like if you decide you want one, talk to
Commit.
one of them and get on that wait
Yep.
list
Yep.
because when the year goes by and they have them, you'll be ready.
Mm-hmm. Because with this clutch that I had, my original plan, if I had had all 17 hatch out, which I didn't think was going to happen, I was like, I know I'm going to lose probably a few. Like, that's probably going to happen. Prepare, like, be ready for it. You're not going to have all 17.
Yeah.
And so my original plan, if I had, close to a 100% hatch rate, 100% survival rate, was I was just going to sell half and keep half. But now that I have 11, it's so much nicer to kind of be like, okay, at that, with that number, I can sit on them as long as I want to.
11's still pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, that's what Will Banks was saying. He's like, man, even at 11, like you're still doing good. Like that's still.
What was the clutch? All fertile? All 17, or did you get any slugs?
There was one slug, so 17 is counting the whole clutch minus that one dud.
That's a really good clutch.
Mm-hmm.
What how big was she? Do you know? Like a relatively how big?
She's a 5-year-old snake. She's probably 4.5 to 5 feet. And I don't.
What would you guess on weight, like right before you started breeding her?
See, I know if I guess, I'm going to be undercutting her, because I would say it's easily over 1,000.
Yeah.
But maybe 1,500, maybe a little more.
She's a big one. Huh?
Yeah, she's huge, man. And she laid no problem, didn't have any issues. All the eggs, like all the ones that I lost, were fully developed. There weren't any that were, fused or half developed or anything like that.
I have a question. Were they at the bottom? Because I remember when we talked, were they at the bottom of the pile or the top?
No, the ones I had 2 or 3 on the bottom that hatched fine.
Oh, okay.
Those are actually, I think, some of the biggest of the clutch, weight-wise.
Really?
Yeah. Strangely enough.
Yeah, because I was curious about that. I know a couple people just incubate them right as a cluster.
Yeah, and the only reason I did that is because I woke up that morning, saw that she had laid, and then I had to be to work at like an hour, and I knew I didn't have time to separate all of those and stuff and get to work on time, so I just said screw it.
I'd be scared.
Yeah, just
if like a 8+ hour period goes by, I'd be too scared to pull them apart.
Mm-hmm. And I did. I mean, I pulled on one a little bit because I was like, okay, if they're easy to get pull off, then I'll do it. And I had to use a good bit of force, and I know they're pretty tough, but I was like, I'm gonna break some of these, like I know I am. So I said, screw it, I gotta go to work. I don't have time. Just throw the whole batch in and get it done.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and I had 3 that were separate from the bundle, and those 3 ended up dying full term. I think all 3 of those, the issue was they had drowned in the albumin. Yeah, I lost a handful of them, I think, to that, because the first one pipped, and I went ahead, after talking to Brahms, who had talked to Irby. Brahms had his first one hatched, and he was going to wait 24 hours. He talked to Irby, I think it was, and Irby said, cut him, don't wait. And so I did the same thing. Like, that first one pipped, and I got out the cuticle scissors, and I just started snipping them. And I think I had a few that just never figured that out.
Yeah. That's what I did when the first one came. Mine for some reason, mine went long, like 56.
Yeah, these were 54.
Yeah,
and that's why
I kept talking to Gary, and because it obviously wasn't that long ago, but when I had these, there wasn't as many people that I know then that obviously have had success now, but.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Gary Shavino and Jason Stevens and Buddy, and Buddy's the man. I think I messaged him at least once or twice a week when that happened. I was like, what do I do? What do I, give me the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But I almost cut these suckers, and then Gary was like, don't cut them. So finally, when one hatched, once I seen the head come out
Mhm.
that morning, I cut them all.
Yeah.
You know, not butcher them. I just cut a little slice
Yeah.
flap.
Yeah.
I didn't even open the flap,
Mhm.
just so that some little something of light could just crease through. You know,
Mhm.
and they
It's
all end up
funny.
hatching.
Day 54, I checked on them, and it didn't look like any of them had even tried to hatch. But then, as I was about to put the box back in the incubator, I noticed one of the eggs on the top of the clutch had a handful of cut marks on it, and so I'm like, oh crap, this thing cut and couldn't get out. But then I
Oh, yeah.
noticed there was a cut in it, and so that's when I was like, okay, then I'm not gonna wait. Like I just started doing it, and I cut all of them except the ones on the bottom because there really wasn't
Yep.
a good spot to do it. So I just said, these can do it on their own. If I get back from work tonight or tomorrow, and they're not pipped yet, then I'll hit them.
Did you end up separating them? I remember when I was talking to you, or did they from the bottom just come out on their own?
They just came out on their own. It
Oh,
took them,
nice,
yeah,
nice.
it took them 2 or 3 days for them all to come out. But I'd wake up in the morning, see who came out, put them in a tub if they were out and done. Put the box back in the incubator, come back from work that night, see if any were out, same thing, and did that for 2 or 3 days and just separated them as needed.
Yeah, what the longest 3 days ever, right? When the first
Yeah.
one comes out, you're like, oh, the other ones are gonna come out now. No,
I mean, that I didn't care about. I was just glad that they were coming out and they were hatching. I was like, whatever. I've waited this long. I'm not gonna hurt to wait another 2 days.
Yeah,
As long
yeah.
as they're coming out, I don't care.
I remember one of them, its head was popping out. I took a picture. Its head was like deep purple, almost black with no pattern. That sucker was the last one to come out the egg,
Mm-hmm.
and his head was poking out for 2 days. I was dying.
Yeah, that's been the most, like I said at the beginning of the show, like that's been the most frustrating thing is like trying to navigate all this and figure out what I prefer to do and what seems to work best for me. But asking other people what they do, and then and I kept
Then you get 1,000 different
exactly. But the thing I did to curb that is I kept the number of people I talked to and asked advice from small.
answers.
Like I wasn't asking 20 people. I was talking to Justin Wilbanks. I was talking to Brian Fisher. I was talking to Harlan. I was talking to David a little bit too, but it was more of like, hey, who have you talked to about this and what they suggest you do, and just bouncing like that advice we got from our 2 different pools off of each other. And there's definitely some stuff I'll change next time. But I know it's now that I've gotten that first clutch kind of under the belt, and now we're getting into the feeding games.
Fun.
I think next time it's gonna be a lot smoother now that I kind of know what to expect.
Yeah, because now you don't have to really, get as nervous.
Yeah. And it is nerve-wracking, but I try to remember, if these things were that delicate and that fragile, they'd be extinct.
Right.
Don't, like I say a lot on this show and on THP, like don't care them to death.
They can be very nerve-wracking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's funny because, and I have a lot of people that are like, hey, green trees really delicate? Are they really hard to care for? And I'm like, if you give them what they need, they're actually probably some of the easiest eggs to keep.
Yeah, man. They actually spoil you. I tell people this all the time. Spend the money on the right setup first.
Mm-hmm.
Get the right stuff, set it up, have it running. Because they are by far, if you get healthy animals, the easiest species to take care of.
Yeah.
And they're one of the cleanest. I mean, they're not dumping
definitely. They're not
deuces
colubrids
every other day.
Yep, they're not corn snakes and
knocking
they're not
over
rat
their
snakes.
waters, out of control, They're so easy.
My Baird's rats piss me off, man. It's like I'll wake up in the morning, they'll somehow bunch up their paper towel completely on one end of the tub and then spill their water bowl. And so I'll fix it, and then I'll come home later that night, and they'll have done it again. And so I get to a point with them where I'm like, clearly you want it like that. So I let them do their thing. I let them do whatever they want. Because with rat snakes, after a point, they literally just destroy everything for no reason.
Yeah, I praise colubrid keepers. Praise them. I don't know how they clean poop that much.
And that it stands out even more when you keep chondros and then you keep colubrids like in the same room as them, and then you see how often you're cleaning the colubrids versus the green trees. Like,
I tell people all the time. I said, if you once you get a chondro, you're never gonna want to keep anything else ever again.
Yeah.
they're gonna they really do spoil you as far as like husbandry upkeep. You know, you got to change your waters all the time and check them and stuff, but then they're not dumping every day.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we're at about an hour 20.
Well, that was a quick hour.
Yeah,
20.
man, it flies. It flies, especially after last night with a 3-hour episode. It makes it seem like this one was kind of a blink, which, I mean, that was a great episode. I really enjoyed that. I love P and Cody. They're awesome people. And we knew that Cody was a talker. So I was like, I told Bratz going in, I was like, boy, this is going to be a long one. You better get your energy drink in here or something, because this is going to be a...
Yeah, because I listened to their 2 episodes they did with Bill and Buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He just goes. And that's like, to me, that doesn't bother me at all. Like, that's the best guess, the one that, you don't have to do anything. Just take it and
I
run
love
with
listening to those, because they got like, especially him and hearing the stories, like how far it goes back, all the stuff he's kept, because, working at, this zoo and starting this and then doing all that stuff. And
seeing some of the chondros he had at Carpet Fest, man, that he has some just ridiculous. I got some pictures of some of them, but the lighting, I had my aperture set too low, I think, and so they're pretty dark. But I'll have to go back through and upload a few of them.
Yeah, I wish I could have gone. I don't really travel that much.
His chondros that he has, and we didn't even get to see the ones that were nido positive and separated from everything else.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I know. I keep track of everything, so I know what bloodlines he's working with and stuff like that.
It's crazy.
I'm like a bloodline stalker. I know what everyone got.
I'm still navigating all that. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to. I mean,
unless you're gonna keep it, then you really have no reason to.
I don't know. I know there's some guys that are like chondro lineage historians, where they have, like it's their hobby to sort of just memorize all that and track it and know like what's what. And I guess that's kind of just a byproduct of, if you're in the the chondro community long enough, you kind of follow that by default. But
it's funny because a few years ago, my messenger would blow up all the time. Hey, I want to buy this snake. What's this deal? What's its lineage? And I'm like, no, all the time.
Yeah.
People would be like, oh, just go ask him. And then if I didn't want to talk to them, I'd just be like, no, I don't know nothing. Go talk to John Irby.
Yeah.
I answered enough of these questions.
No
already.
Clue. Sorry. Next.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whoever told you I knew is lying.
Yeah, they're lying.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, what real quick off the top of your head, if you can think of any, what are the top 3 tips you give to anybody getting into chondros?
Well,
your top 3.
My top 3.
Your top 3.
Okay. One would be, do your research, get your setup, completely built, or however you're gonna do it, dialed in, and running. 2 would be your next step in that would be purchasing. Ask around, be real selective on who you buy them from. I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah, you've only really got to get burned by that once or twice to never want to do it again.
Yeah, man. Yep. And definitely, research people. Even on my page, I put up a list of like my recommended top, I don't even know, 15, 20 people.
I'll have to check that out.
That is what I'd say who to buy from. Bill Stiegel, Buddy Buscemi, Jason Stevens, Christian Stewart, John Irby now. He's producing a lot of awesome stuff. TK Chondros.
Yep.
I got more of a list if I didn't say a name. It's not because I don't like you. It's just I just forgot. Shit, I just got lost in train of thought. Oh, and 3. Especially if you're spending the money, if you're going to spend the money, make sure. This would turn me off. If I'm going to buy a snake for $2,000-$3,000 and I say, hey, can you nido test this? And they say, nah, then I ain't buying it.
Yeah.
With, all the secret, before people knew anyway. You know what I mean? Why do these? It used to be like, oh, that's chondros for you. Well, now not really, because
Right.
it's really a virus that it didn't have a name, and you
Yeah.
shoot these snakes with, 4-TAZ and Baytril, and it doesn't fix the respiratory. Well, that's because it had a virus. So, but yeah, definitely. I recommend would be, having it tested before,
Mm-hmm.
and then run it again when you get it, for sure.
Cool. Well,
And I'm team rats, by the way.
are you really?
Throwing it out there. We didn't get to that question.
We didn't even
Team
get into
rats?
feeding. We can cover that real quick. Like, why are you team rat?
Well, I'm team rat for when they're older. Up until, from babies to, say, they get to hoppers.
Mm-hmm.
Close to hoppers, then you can't even touch rats. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
the size
Yeah, they're
difference.
too
But
big. Yeah.
I don't want dwarfed snakes. Pretty much is why I'm not a heavy feeder either. But
Mm-hmm.
to come on, 3-year-old females that are 250 grams. What the fuck?
Well, how often are you feeding your adults then?
Every 2 weeks.
Okay.
But I'm also not team colossal rat.
Right.
My adults
Not-
are getting
yeah,
weaned.
Not the rats that are the size of a kitten.
Nah, weaned rats. Weaned rats are the adults. They're
Mhm.
probably like 35 to 45, 50 grams maybe. I mean, I don't pull a
Mhm.
scale out, but that's what the website says.
And have you noticed any difference as far as feeding those versus feeding mice in terms of like females bouncing back after laying or anything like that?
Well, I used to be team mouse,
Uh-huh.
and but yeah, but when breeding season would come, I'd hit them with the rats,
Yeah, beef them up.
and then but not crazy, and then after, I would give them rats, but like a lot smaller
Mm-hmm.
rats, but the rats are a little more fatty, but I wouldn't hit them with a big meal after laying eggs. That's
And as
just
far as
asking
your
for a regurg.
as far as your neos go, are you giving them whole pinkies first meal?
Yeah, man, they all took I didn't have to use heads or tails, or I don't know if I got lucky or what, but
Mhm.
I did have one baby, which made me super scared. Was it took the pink,
Mm-hmm.
it swallowed it halfway. When I went and checked on it a half hour later, it was dead.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I don't know if it like choked on it
Yeah.
or what, but I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Huh.
So
Yeah,
that's the thing I'd look out. I would, I know you said you got some like 8-9 grammers.
Yeah, that 6-gram one
I
is
don't know
the
if
one
you
that
wanna
I'm
do,
worried
like, pink
about.
heads first, or
Yeah, that 6-grammer I feel like is going to be the one that's really going to matter the most. But I don't know. I think the other ones can because I have access to day old pinkies like tiny, and I think
Yeah, me too,
even
me
the
too.
9 the 8.5 gram 9-grammers could probably get one of those down no problem. But that 6-grammer, that one I don't know what I'm gonna have to do with that one yet.
yeah.
I might have to just get that one on mouse tails or something for the first couple meals until I can
You
get
can probably
some
do
weight on it.
heads.
Yeah,
Try
I
that.
I haven't
What's that
done
thing
that yet.
Holland does,
He
like
does
the
the thing with
popsicles?
he uses like a bamboo
Toothpick heads.
skewer. He uses a skewer, and I need to look that post up because I was actually I might end up trying
The only
that.
thing when I seen that I got worried about is like splinters.
Yeah, that
You
was
know when
my
you put
thing
the head
too.
in there, but it looks like chopsticks or something,
Mm-hmm.
or skewers or whatever. But
Yeah.
when they peel it back, it could peel a piece of the
Mm-hmm.
the wood. That's the only thing I'd be worried about.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot that can go wrong with these damn things, or we haven't figured that
Or,
out.
or
yet.
that, and it strikes it, and you stab the freaking thing.
That
in the
was
head with a
my that was
sharp-ass
my big thing. Was
thing.
it getting stabbed somehow,
Imagine
impaling
you finally
itself?
get it to eat, and there's a
Yeah.
toothpick sticking out its neck. Nice, dude.
It's not that out of the question with green trees, man. It's like entirely possible.
Yeah.
I pretty much I tell guys now that are kind of getting into them. I was like, I literally walk into my room now expecting there to be something wrong. Like they're really they must be cursed or something, because everything can be going fine for a really long time, and then for whatever reason you walk in that one day and this one somehow knocked its perch off the thing, and now it's stuck halfway through the PVC pipe. And
oh god,
just yeah, man. Mine, especially my male, he has done so much goofy shit since I've had him.
I don't know who it was, but I seen someone had a, I think it was an Exoterra, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they had a fogger hooked up to it. And the poor snake went up the fogger tube, got stuck, and it just like filled them up with vapors and shit.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was years ago. I forget who did it.
That's why I don't use those things, dude.
Yeah.
I don't use them for anything.
You need a fogger for
I don't even use them for the dart frogs. I don't need any of that.
Man, I'd love to keep some frogs. Years and years ago, I had it's probably like 2006, 7, something like that. I had a bunch of stuff. I bred some ball pythons back then, some boas. I had some berms and retics. I had a badass cage with some waxy monkey frogs. And but then we had like a house fire, so all that stuff died.
Oh shit!
But anyways, that was the only time I was able to keep frogs alive. Since then,
the dart frogs
I've
are
tried.
a blast.
I'm trash. I can't keep a frog alive to save my life.
The dart frogs are addicting, man. I've only got one species right now, but I've had another vivarium that's been up and running and planted for the last like 3 months. And
man, I want some of those blue Azuris.
Yeah.
But I know I'll kill them.
No.
So I'm not gonna get them.
They're easy, man. You just the glass top
I've
does
tried.
all the work.
I can't even keep a Pac-Man alive now. I don't know what my problem is, man. It's these green trees.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I gotta clean you every day. Oh, this sucks. Can't keep frogs alive.
Oh.
Those Amazon milk frogs, I had those back in the day. Those are awesome.
Yeah, those look cool. I don't know. The tree frog thing I never really got into. It's pretty much darts are the only amphibian I have
cool.
any desire.
Man, I like
to get
everything
into.
in the trees.
Yeah. Cool. All right, man.
Monkeys. Those Vietnamese mossy.
Yeah, those are pretty sweet too.
Yeah, I had those too.
Those
are
are
cool.
pretty wild looking. But I appreciate you coming on, man. We're at an hour and a half.
Thanks for having me.
We did it.
We made it.
Where can people find you?
I'm on Facebook. I got a page. It's Beantown Arboreals. Same as Instagram.
Yep.
And that's really all I usually go on. I don't mess with the Twitter because I don't know how to use it.
Yeah, Twitter's overrated.
Yeah, I don't know how.
It doesn't work well for our hobby. Like our hobby's a visual hobby, and Twitter's not.
All my buddies like, oh, I'll tweet you something. I'm like, nah, because I don't have it. I don't even know how to use
it. Don't bother. You're wasting your time.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, have a good night. Appreciate you coming on again.
You too. Good luck with
I'll be keeping you posted on those. For sure.
Hopefully all those babies eat for you.
Yep. I don't think I'll have too much of a problem with them. We'll see, though. Like I said, shed's coming, and then we're storming those beaches again, so we'll see.
Yep. Make sure you got that chick in the freezer.
Yeah, I got a quail that I stole from Brock's. That's been there. Waiting.
Yep. Cut those nice little fluffy feathers off. Just dip their heads in there.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Later.
Later.